This episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by Jedley's award-winning children's book, The Great Maratini.
A very long time ago, there was a boy named Sam who liked to do his magic tricks, and he was quite the ham. He was called the Great Maratini, the best magician of his age, but his greatest feat took place far away from any stage. Every trick Sam tried to do would somehow come out wrong, but Sam just kept on going, and that's what made him strong. He was called the Great Maratini, the best magician of his age, but his greatest feat took place far away from any stage. One day as he traveled, he helped a stranger in need, and this was not a trick, oh no, but a magical good deed. He was called the Great Maratini, the best magician of his age, but his greatest feat took place far away from any stage. He was called the Great Maratini, the best magician of his age, but his greatest feat took place far away from any stage.
To get your autographed copy of the giant bilingual edition of The Great Maratini, please visit greatmaratini.com.
Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the iTunes #1 kids and family podcast, the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are so very thankful that you're taking time to join us today, and thankful for all of the support that you've shown this podcast. We have a wonderful guest for you today. Her name is Laura Gehl, and she is the author of Delivery Bear. She'll be here in just a moment, but before she does, we want to let you know a little bit about one of our sponsors, Love with Food. We would be so very, very happy if you would visit readingwithyourkids.com/yummy, readingwithyourkids.com/yummy. Go there and find out about the easiest way to snack smart and do good. We're talking about Love with Food. Love with Food helps you discover new, organic, all-natural, and gluten-free snacks delivered directly to your door every single month. And membership starts as low as $7.99 a month. And this is why we love Love with Food so much. Love with Food will donate a portion of the proceeds to help fight childhood hunger in the U.S. and all around the world. Love with Food donates to organizations like Feeding America and the Global Food Banking Network. So join us to help end childhood hunger one meal at a time. Visit readingwithyourkids.com/yummy to say goodbye to boring grocery store selections and to start snacking smart and doing good with Love with Food. Joining us on the line right now from Chevy Chase in Maryland. She is the author of a load of great children's book. We're here talking to her about her brand new book that is available right now. It's called Delivery Bear. Please welcome to the show, Laura Gehl. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Jed.
Super to have you on the show, and I'm really excited to talk about Delivery Bear.
Me too. So this is a book that is close to my heart because I had two ideas. For a long time, I had the idea of a animal delivery service, and then I separately had the idea of this bear who was big and scary and wanted a job where the people hiring did not feel that a large, scary bear was a good fit. And then once those two ideas meshed together into Delivery Bear, I knew that it was going to be such a fun story. And I'm really thrilled that it will be out in the world. Or I guess it is out in the world now.
How much fun is it when two seemingly separate and individual ideas kind of come together to form this new creation?
It is the best. I have this giant idea file with every little snippet of an idea that comes into my brain in the middle of the night or when I'm in the car. I'm always scribbling down ideas, and I absolutely love it when more than one of those ideas mesh together to make a great story.
Now, I'm interested in that. So as an author, one of the things you do is every time you have an idea, you make a note and then you file it away, so you can take a look at it later on.
Exactly. And so anytime that I have a big uninterrupted few hours for writing, when I don't have to be editing something or looking at proofs of a book that's coming out, whenever I just have time to really focus on a new project, I look through my file and I see all the ideas and I pick one that seems like the most promising at that given second, and I just start writing and see how it goes. And usually I can tell pretty quickly whether it's going well or whether it's an idea to toss back in the file for a while.
It's interesting. I do similar things, but now with technology, I oftentimes will send myself an email or send myself a text message for an idea that may wake me up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll get up the next morning and look, why did I send myself a message? And I can't decipher whatever language it is that I sent myself the message in.
Yes, I definitely have lots of scribbled Post-it notes that are either completely illegible or that the idea seemed absolutely brilliant at 1 a.m. and in the light of the day, I think, I'm not sure that a gun-toting iguana is actually the best idea I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, that brings up another point as an author, so you have all these ideas, and some of them work and some of them don't work. And I'm imagining, just because it's the way of the world, that most of the ideas don't work. And how do you keep yourself, and what advice do you have for a new author who is, having that kind of experience, advice to keep them from becoming discouraged?
Well, I think if writing brings you joy, which if it doesn't, you should definitely find a new career.
Absolutely.
But if writing brings you joy, then it's the process of the writing that keeps you from getting discouraged. Anytime I get discouraged by rejections or by a review that missed what I was trying to do with a book, I just start writing something new, and that joy is what keeps me going. I just love the actual writing process, and I always say to kids that if someone had a video camera on me when I was writing, they would see me with this big goofy smile on my face because I'm just so happy when I'm writing. So moving on to a new project and just getting immersed in the actual act of writing is what keeps me going always.
I hadn't intended this when I went down this path of conversation, but in some ways, what we've been talking about, not letting ourselves be discouraged and keep going after things, that's kind of part of the story of Delivery Bear.
That is so true. Yeah. So in Delivery Bear, he has this dream from when he's a tiny little cub. The main character's name is Zogby, and from the time he's a tiny cub, he really wants to deliver cookies for this local company in his town called Fluffy Tail Cookies. And as you can guess from the name, Fluffy Tail Cookies is a bunny-run company. All of the delivery animals and the management, it's all bunnies. And that just doesn't even occur to Zogby. He goes and he applies for a job, and the manager tells him he doesn't have the right look. She doesn't come out and say, we're all tiny little bunnies and you're a big, scary-looking bear, but that's what she means. Mm-hmm. However, she agrees to give him a chance, and he is so excited. But then because of the way the cookie company works, which is that the delivery animal sings this song before the door is opened by the customer, every time the customer goes to open the door, they're expecting to see this tiny little bunny because that's the way it's always been. Every time you hear the Fluffy Tail Cookies song, you're going to open the door and a tiny little bunny will hand you these delicious cookies. And instead, when you get this giant, scary-looking bear, it's terrifying. And so all of the customers are understandably scared. And so that is the problem that Zogby faces in this book.
cool. That's a really, really fun concept. And I'm just sitting here thinking, because one of the things I ask authors is, what can we talk about with our kids when we're reading your book? And I'm thinking about all sorts of conversations that we can have with our kids while reading Delivery Bear.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is, first of all, a book about following your dreams. This is something Zogby wanted from the time he was a cub. Just like right now, my daughter wants to be an astronaut. And I haven't, told her how hard it is to become an astronaut or any of the obstacles she's going to encounter if she still wants to do that later. Right now we're just reading books about space, and I'm absolutely encouraging this idea. And when she tells me she can't decide between being a writer and being an astronaut, which she said to me recently, I said, there's absolutely no reason you couldn't do both. You can write about what you see when you're up in space. And so we certainly want to have those conversations about following your dreams. And that's something that Zogby does in this book. And then, as you referenced earlier, not giving up. He encounters this terrible situation where every time he, with the best intentions, is trying to deliver these cookies, the customers are shrieking. They're scared. You see these giant screams on every page, ah, as each customer opens the door, and it's not what they expect. And so that's something that not giving up in the face of that. And also people face that exact situation of being judged on their appearance every day. And that's something else that's important to talk to our kids about.
Yeah, and also the flip side of that, judging people based on their appearance.
Absolutely. The judging, it's something, this was brought up to me recently, and I hadn't seen it that way, that in Delivery Bear, these people are judging Zogby, and Zogby feels like he has to make the situation better. And I hadn't thought of that, because I don't see the people or their animals in the book as so much judging as just being shocked. They're expecting a bunny, and instead they see this big bear. But I now realize that you could see it that way, that they're really judging based on preconceived notions of what a bear is. A bear is scary. And so that is a very important topic to talk to kids about as well, for sure. Yeah,
because I think it and it's, I'm guessing, and I think it's probably a pretty safe bet that this isn't an issue that you intended on getting into when you created Delivery Bear. You had these two kind of great ideas, but sometimes when we're writing, we're creating something. What we create brings us into an issue, and we are living at a time. I was just teaching a magic class, and in demonstrating a trick. I showed them the kids the trick in one, from one angle. It looked really, really magical. And then I just kind of turned my body, like 15 or 20 degrees. And all of a sudden that's not magical at all. And, we started getting into a conversation about perspective and how people look at things, and and just being aware and being empathetic from what angle a person is looking at an event or at something from.
Right, exactly. So I guess I have empathy for Zogby in the book, because he is encountering this situation where people, or again, animals, are judging him based on his appearance. But I also have empathy for those customers who are legitimately, they're opening the door, they're expecting to see a little bunny, and instead they're seeing a giant bear, and you can understand how they would be scared. And so both of those have to be resolved. And in the book, Zogby initially decides that the way to solve this problem is by dressing up like a bunny. So he wears bunny ears, he puts on a little fluffy white tail, and as you can imagine, that does not work at all. And not only is it funny in the book to see this bear thinking that by putting on bunny ears, suddenly he's going to really look like a little bunny, but what I wanted to really get through to kids was that at first he's trying to really fit in, and in the end he finds a way to stand out and still manage to keep his dream job. And this idea that standing out in your own way is better than trying to fit in. And that was something that I was very conscious of putting into the book and really hoping that that kids would see when they read this book.
Wow, those are great lessons and great reminders for kids. And so I'm really excited that Delivery Bear is here and it's delivered and we can experience it in our homes. I also mentioned at the top of the interview that you are the author of a whole lot of great books. In fact, you're the author of a series of books, Peep and Egg. Tell us a little bit about the series.
So Peep and Egg is a series I did with illustrator Joy Swan, and that series is aimed a little younger, more at toddlers and early preschoolers, and it's a series about overcoming your fears. So in the very first book, Egg is still actually in an egg, and Egg's big sister, Peep, really wants Egg to hatch, and Peep keeps talking about all the fun things that they could do together once Egg hatches. They can ride on the sheep, they can watch the sunset the sunrise from the roof of the hen house, and Egg is just too scared, and Egg just keeps saying, I'm not hatching, and nothing that Peep says can convince Egg. And so that book was intended to help little ones who are struggling with all these fears, because when you're a toddler, everything is new and everything can seem scary. And I was trying to get across to kids the idea that we can overcome these fears. And I was also trying to get across to parents and grandparents and caregivers the fact that when our little people in our lives seem to be so stubborn and are driving us crazy with all the I'm not going to sleep and I'm not going to school and I'm not putting on my shoes, that so many of those types of reactions come from fear and not from any real desire to be a pain. You know, they're just scared. And so that series has just been wonderful to work on and to talk to kids and caregivers who have really found that the books resonated with them and have helped them through various life stages. And so, yeah, it's just been a joy.
Yeah, it gets back to what we were just talking about a minute ago, helping parents look at things through the eyes of their toddlers who are experiencing all these new and scary events.
Right, exactly. When you're an adult, you just don't think of the same sorts of things as being scary, of course. But if somebody tells you to do something that is completely new to you, like jumping out of a plane or going swimming with sharks, you know, you're probably going to be scared too, even if you know objectively the chances of something going wrong are pretty small. And so we forget that the first time you do anything can be absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, one book, we don't have time to talk about all the different books that you have, but folks, you have a great website. I'm going to ask you for the address of the website in a minute, but one book that really caught my eye is My Pillow Keeps Moving.
Yeah, so that book came out of a game that I used to play with my kids, where I would be tucking them in and I would put my head down on whichever kid I was tucking in. I have 4 kids of my own, and I would say, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. And then I would start dramatically snoring and the kid would start giggling and wiggling. And then I would say, my pillow keeps moving. And then I would complain about how I had to return the pillow to the pillow store. And so we played that game for years. And then at some point it came to me that this could make a fun book. And in the book, there's a dog who needs a home, and the dog goes into a pillow store and manages to get bought as a pillow by this nearsighted gentleman. And just like my own kids wiggling and giggling. The dog is wiggling and making all kinds of noises and is not a satisfactory pillow. So the man returns the pillow to the store, but the dog is very resourceful and keeps turning up in every store that the man goes to and manages to get bought as other types of objects. And in the end, the man realizes that even though this dog does not make a good pillow or a good footstool or a good coat, that this dog makes an excellent dog. And so they kind of become a family, along with another animal who joins the story. Wow. And so it's a very funny book with a lot of visual humor, but it's also about, finding your family wherever it turns up. And so this man starts out very lonely at the beginning, and then by the end, he has a family and the dog as well. So it's a really both very funny book, but also a book with a lot of heart.
Well, that's one of the things that kind of runs through all of your books, is that they're a lot of fun and they're funny.
That's what I shoot for, humor and heart. Those are definitely the two pillars that I am trying my best to balance in every book.
Well, I know folks are going to want to check out Delivery Bear, and they're also going to want to check out all the other great books, and they're all on your website, and you do have a great website with lots of resources. So tell everybody the address for the website, please.
Right, so it's www, and then my name, which is Laura Gehl, LauraGehl.com. And like you said, we have a lot of stuff on there. There's coloring sheets for every single Peep and Egg book. There are also activity sheets for One Big Pair of Underwear, which was my very first book. And then there are teacher guides for a bunch of different books. And for Delivery Bear, if you go onto my website, you can actually hear Zogby singing the Delivery Bear song. And so that's a lot of fun and might also help parents or caregivers who are trying to figure out how to sing the songs in the book. They actually can be sung to the tune of the ABCs, but hearing it might make it a little easier to try to sing when you're reading the book aloud. So yeah, lots of good stuff on the website, and I would love for everyone to check it out.
Yeah, and just one last thing that I noticed on the website, and that I'd be really fascinated with, is that you like to write about science for kids and adults, and I'm taking it you love taking cutting-edge science and helping it to be understood by simple people like me.
That's right. I started in the children's writing world, writing only about science, and now I've transitioned to doing mostly fiction, but I still like writing about science, and I have a board book series coming out next year, which features different scientific careers, and so the first two are Baby Oceanographer and Baby Botanist, which come out from HarperCollins next spring, and I'm really excited about that series because it just tells us that anyone can be a scientist and that every scientific career can be accessible to all ages at all different levels. And yeah, I can't wait.
Excellent. Well, you gotta check it out. Laura Gehl, LauraGehl.com, and absolutely check out her brand new book, Delivery Bear. Laura, I'm really excited to have spoken to you today, and I'm really excited that I have a feeling you're going to be writing more books, and maybe you'll come back on and tell us about those in the future.
I would love to. Thanks so much for having me, Jed. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Becca Price. Becca will be here. We hope you're going to be joining us too. Hey, if you are an author and you would love to tell the world about your fantastic book, we would love to help you. Being a guest on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, it's fun, it's easy, and it is absolutely free. Just think, an opportunity to sit and speak with me for about 20-25 minutes and tell the world about your great children's book. And it is absolutely free. Just think, you have an opportunity to tell hundreds and thousands of people about your fantastic children's book. If you're interested, and why wouldn't you be? Please go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, and click on the contact button. Let us know all about your great children's book. We'll let you know the next step. Hey, we want to thank Laura Gehl for being here today, and of course, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to subscribe to the Reading with Your Kids podcast on iTunes, on Podcast Addict, on Stitcher Radio, on whatever platform you are listening to the show on. And of course, as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.